He was the terror that flapped in the night. He was the caped crusader who refused to wear pants. He was Darkwing Duck. On today's nostalgia trip, I'm talking to you about one of my all-time favorite animated series that was steeped in pop culture references. We'll be exploring the show's production and interesting origins, its cast, and a few notable episodes that every Mask Mallard fan needs to watch. Grab your grappling hook and other keen gear. I'm Kris Carr. Let's get dangerous. Before we smoke bomb in, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsor of the day, Logan Clad. Thanks to heroes like Logan, I get to keep revisiting my childhood staples and writing off my Disney Plus subscription. We couldn't make these videos without you guys, so thank you so much. If you want to pitch in, head on over to our Patreon page and see if a donation tier works for you. All right, on to Darkwing.
Darkwing Duck. That's 2 words, not 3, both these capitalized. Here's my photo.
Darkwing Duck follows our titular character as he fights crime in St. Canard and originated in Disney's golden afternoon lineup. The show aired from 1991 to 1992 and boasts almost 100 episodes featuring our Duck Vigilante. Dark was a non-powered hero who implemented a variety of gadgets to take on crime. He mostly used a gas gun and got around town in the Thunderquack plane or his Ratcatcher motorbike. When he's not making villains suck gas, he's implementing quack fu and contortion skills he learned from his great-great-aunt. At the end of the day, DW's greatest power is that he's a cartoon. So anvils can land on him, he can turn into pudding, and he can address us in the audience directly. Unlike shows like Tailspin, helmed by Baloo, or Goof Troop with Goofy, Darkwing was an original hero whose show was made up entirely of fresh characters. Sure, there were some folks from DuckTales, but this show never had to rely on classic Disney folks showing up to keep our focus. You'd think this original IP had been ruminating over at Disney Studios for a while, right? Wrong! Darkwing Duck was a last-minute Hail Mary replacement. Initially, the creative team was making a Rocky and Bullwinkle reboot. The problem? Disney didn't own the rights to Moose and Squirrel. Pretty big oversight. Bob Iger would never let this sort of thing happen. Oof. Well, thankfully, Bobo wasn't there, and this led to Tad Stones and co. creating Darkwing Duck. If you watched my DuckTales nostalgia trip, you know that 2 episodes straight out of Duckburg inspired our caped crusader, 00 Duck and the Mask Mallard, a nickname Darkwing gives himself in the series. Despite being a DuckTales spin-off and utilizing characters from DuckTales like Launchpad McQuack, Gizmo Duck, and even slapping Scrooge McDuck on a billboard in an episode, Stones has stated that the 2 series exist in separate universes. This could explain some of the subtle differences in the series, like Launchpad's improved aerial abilities. To be fair though, Stones has gone on record saying that he does not like continuity and thinks it's fun to mess with.
00 Duck, registered to thrill.
I don't know. Seems kinda silly.
In addition to having his sidekick and biggest fan Launchpad by his side, DW is aided by his adoptive daughter Gosselin, J. Gander Hoover of Shush, his love interest in gothic babe Morgana, and other heroes such as Gizmo Duck. The show was filmed to the brim with wacky villains, slapstick comedy, and pop culture references that went right over my head as a kid. In fact, almost every title in the series is a reference to a novel, film, or famous movie line. We get references to DC, Marvel, the Green Hornet, Doc Savage, and plenty more. For example, Shush, the crime-fighting organization Darkwing Duck worked with, was a parody of Marvel Comics' S.H.I.E.L.D. The Fearsome 5 villain team was a play on Spider-Man's Sinister Six, and the nefarious Negaduck was inspired by the fiendish Reverse Flash, even down to his color scheme. But what Darkwing Duck parodies the most is Batman, specifically the 1989 Keaton-helmed film. St. Canard itself is modeled after Gotham, and DW's equipment, mysterious smoke bomb entrances and exits, and I am introductions are all pulled from the Bat. Earlier versions of the show were going to have a Robin-esque sidekick and an aged butler a la Alfred. But to sort of cool down the Batman jabs, the series opted to use Launchpad McQuack as both sidekick and personal assistant. Darkwing may be all about parodying Batman, but it definitely pulls from pulpier fare as well. DW's secret identity, Drake Mallard, is a reference to Kent Allard, the secret identity of 1930s comic character The Shadow. The Shadow was also a terrible Alec Baldwin film that bombed in the early 90s. Ugh. Watch it, it's so bad. Darkwing's outfit also took inspiration from the Shadow as well as from the Scarlet Pimpernel. This is part of the beauty of the rewatch, you guys. You'll catch all those fantastic Easter eggs now and experience the show on an entirely different level. Just scroll through the names of the episodes alone, you're going to have a field day. Now, who gave this duck his dulcet tones? None other than animation royalty Jim Cummings. If Dark sounds familiar to you, that's for a slew of reasons. Jim has voiced Winnie the Pooh, the Tasmanian Devil, Tigger, Fat Cat. Wow, a lot of pantsless animals. Oh, and Dr. Robotnik, who thankfully wears pants. The actor has gone on record as this being his favorite role to date, because of the flexibility and encouragement to ad-lib in character. In fact, most of those I am-thes you hear in the series were improvised by Jim Cummings. The writers got to a point where they'd often just write in I am, and Jim will make up something here that's funnier than whatever I write.
I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the moth that seeks your perchlight.
Jim Cummings is so synonymous with Darkwing Duck that he's one of the only actors to reprise his role in the rebooted DuckTales. Granted, with a few tweaks to the character he's portraying. Other notable voices include Rob Paulsen, another childhood staple best known as Yakko, Pinky, and Raphael, lending his voice to Steelbeak. There's Dan Castellaneta, aka Homer Simpson as Megavolt, Kathy Soucy, who's voiced every anthropomorphic bombshell you know, is Morgana, and my personal hero, the late great Christine Cavanaugh, is Goslin. You may know her as Babe the Pig, Dexter, or good old Chucky Finster. Now, if you're watching this on something like Disney+, please keep in mind that after the show went into syndication, like so many other series we cover on Nostalgia Trip, the episodes are not in order. With something like DuckTales or other shows we've seen, narrative isn't the most important thing. They're one-off episodes, typically. So everything kind of gets out of whack. You'll have heroes and villains introduced after they've made appearances, and our 2-part pilot is buried deep into Season 1. So do yourself a favor. Start with Darkly Dawns the Duck Parts 1 and 2 before you begin the rest of your rewatch. Trust me, guys. This pilot is so well executed, and frankly, there was a lot of stuff I forgot. Darkwing Duck was a crime fighter, sure, but he was mostly in it for the fame and glory, hoping for positive press when taking down bank and train robbers. He was so dedicated to this life of crime fighting that he had no other life. He was a Batman with no Bruce Wayne persona. He simply lived in a secret hideout, made some eggs, slept all day, then scrubbed St. Canard clean of crime in the evening. He had no friends. He had no family that he was connected to. So when his biggest fan ends up bailing him out of a pickle, and the orphan involved in his latest case clicks with him, he gains a friend, a ward, and that new secret identity. I had completely spaced on Goslin being adopted. It really changes how you view Darkwing too, knowing that he's mostly fighting crime for the sweet bennies and all that notoriety. Probably also explains why he's not the most competent crime fighter. Like I said earlier, the series has some incredible baddies. You've got Megavolt, you've got the Liquidator, you've got Negaduck, and my personal favorite, Dr. Bushroot, a scientist turned plant who was very unlucky in love. Even tried to grow a potato wife once. Now, an episode that he's highlighted in that really stands out and I think is a must-watch is Twin Beaks, a parody of the popular cult-following series Twin Peaks. In this episode, Dark, Gosselin, and Launchpad help Gosselin's little buddy Honker Muddlefoot find his family, who have all, for some reason, taken off to go to Twin Beaks to help with the harvest. Linked with Honker's missing family is a missing Bushroot, who's left a husk of himself in prison. We later see a similar eerie husk with no eyes in Twin Beaks, and he's tied and bagged. This is a kid's show! They're ditching bodies? Eyeless, crispy bodies? Well, it turns out Bushroot is alive and well, and helping with all the weirdness going down in Twin Beaks. Gosselin explains this trippy plot succinctly.
Cabbages from outer space are duplicating everybody in the world so they can take over the planet, and this cow, who's really an alien, has come here to recapture them.
Oh man, come for the Twin Peaks references, stay for the alien space cow shooting laser beams! This one is wild.
It's not that complicated.
Another standout is the episode Dead Duck. Interestingly, this is one of 2 episodes to feature a very well-known character throughout literature, history, Satan! Only this episode wasn't banned. In fact, the other episode, Hot Spell, that features a guest appearance by the Dark Lord himself, still can't be viewed on Disney+. Probably because that episode involves making deals with the devil. Dead Duck, essentially, is a long, fun PSA for bike safety. Wear your helmet, otherwise you might have to go visit Satan, become a ghost, and the guy who murdered you will get book deals and go on the avian equivalent of Oprah. It takes you on a journey, you guys.
Well, looks like I win. See you around, sucker!
Yes, you will.
There's also Just Us Justice Ducks Part 1 and 2. Justice Ducks was a proposed spin-off series that would see Darkwing and Gizmo Duck teaming up to fight crime. Think new Batman-Superman adventures. This did not come to fruition though, and we had to settle for a 2-parter team-up that feels like the Avengers assembling. Okay, like a very B-list assembling of the Avengers. Okay, so Dawn of Justice. Burn!
Justice Ducks, assemble!
But what now of our purple-clad hero? Sometimes you'd blink and miss him around the Toontown section of Disneyland. And you could don his costume in Disney Infinity. He was supposed to be in the game, but they swapped out DW for Olaf from Frozen. Oh, curse you, you adorable snowman! There's also an NES game, as well as some comics, such as a 4-part release based on Darkly Dawns the Duck, and the 2010 The Duck Knight Returns. The most exciting thing to me is that DuckTales has started delivering the Mallard that we want to see. First with a brilliant homage to the character, and now with reoccurring appearances. I can't wait to see what else they do with this reimagining. I think why we love this show so much and why we still come back to it can be boiled down to its insanely catchy theme song. The lyrics promise us a champion of right, a daring hero who lurks in the shadows, who could take on anyone, but it's still fun and light and goofy. The bad guys are out of luck. It sets up all of our expectations on what the show could be, and then the series comes through and delivers. We know that when there's trouble, we call DW. Of course, this is just how I feel about Darkwing Duck. The question is, what do you guys think of this series? Are you also curious why the majority of St. Canard's citizens are gingers? Hit me up with your hot takes in the comments below. For more deep dives and rewinds, click to the left. Thanks again to everyone on Patreon, and thank you for watching. See you at the next detour.